This is a large batter bowl. This is 2.5 pounds of brand new clay. When I make these, I try to put them on the smallest bat I can. It takes up less room when it comes to handle night. 2.5 pounds is about the biggest I can throw on these square bats, little bats, 7-inch bats. I always comb mine up. 2.5 pounds for me is about combed up about 2 times. Switch to that, and then use that part of my finger to get the hole started. Don't want it really flat. It's going to be taller than it is wider. I open it up and I make a real thick bottom, the shape I want, but it's really thick. That gives me a chance to shape it with my thumb better than my pointer finger. I don't really measure. I've got the contour the way I want the bottom for my batter bowl. It's a real fat ring. And when I pull this up, this is way too wide. So my first pull is to take the width of this bottom that's hitting the bat from about this wide to about this wide. And it's the walls the same thickness. It's really important that you push that base way in. My large batter bowls are 3 pulls. That was the first one. And I really get aggressive with the second one then. The second one also to get the size of the base closer to what my finished product will be. It shoves that clay on out where I want it to be. This may be 4 pulls here. The base is about the way I want it. Let's see if we can get it in 3. Yeah, we got it 3. Now the diameter of this bowl, the important thing is I don't want to have to push this clay back in. It's easy for me to push the clay back out into the bowl shape, but I don't want to overdo it and I have to push the clay back in. So this bowl is more V-shaped on the inside, and I'm going to widen the bottom of it to the way I want it. I don't start here and then try to shove things back in. It just will not go back in. But with my soft rib, I can make the inside the shape that I want it. The base is correct, the bottom's the right thickness. I just want a smooth contour on the inside. Now I'll start making the base right above the base a little bit wider, and I'm going to widen my bowl all the way up to the size that I like it. That's good. It's my last chance to get a spinning rim smooth. Okay. Bowl done. Now for this part, this is how Aaron does spouts. Easy way to do a spout. Both these fingers are wet as I can get them. And the spout on this will be, I'm going to squish an area flat about this wide. So get my fingers wet. I grab it and I pull it. I'm working it back and forth, over towards the camera and away from the camera, back to the camera, away from the camera. I start down maybe an inch down the side. I'm thinning that area out and I'm working myself up towards the lip. It's slightly V-shaped. It follows the contour down. So it gets narrow as I'm about an inch below, then it widens up. And I want this in I do not want this end paper thin. It will make a real elegant lip, but you'll end up whacking it when you're washing it in the sink and it'll break. Good pottery is just too dang thin. So I'll go from an area that's this thick to an area that's less than half that thick there. Also, it's really pointy right there and really pointy right there. It's almost like a 90-degree angle, like this. I want it smooth. It's easier to smooth it now than after you get a spout, because you can't really push on it a lot. So this is your last chance to get it smooth. Don't worry about if it's perfect, but at least it's not cornered now. I'm right-handed, so I take my left hand, I dry off these two fingers. They're now dry. This one's wet. I put this one where the thinning and thickening starts on both sides, and I point my finger at the dead center of the bowl, and it's wet. I start down finger width. I'm using this part of my finger, and my finger's all the way down. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Work myself all the way up. And I want this profile to curve and change the same as over here. And I want a slow curve to the outside. Okay. That's got it mostly the way I want it. Then I'll take these two fingers and I'll get a little more aggressive and I'll push them up in here. And I'll kind of push over to the edges. Then one finger on the inside, one finger on the outside, and I will meet like this, not like this, and draw a straight line all the way up to the edge. Same thing over here. It's just opposite. Instead of over here, it's over here. All the way up to the edge. Then I take the inside of this curve and these little pincher guys, and I put it there, and I tuck it, and I start breaking that memory so this thing starts to go up. It's almost good. This is symmetrical. I'm still symmetrical. Let's do that. I put my fingers in my little valleys I made, and I will finish the way I like the spout to look. Lots of water there. Okay. Now, it's okay if they're not symmetrical, because that clay is really soft. Take a triangle piece of foam. It's really sharp on the end. I get the end of it just wet. And you always clean your inside lip first, because inevitably that will push the spout out, misshapen it. So the inside's clean. Then when you start on the outside, you can kind of look how I'm pushing it back into shape. If I had done the outside first, I'd have to go back with my fingers and change the shape. The more that you do here is the less that you have to not trim later, but scrape off with your fingernail or a scraper. I want this totally smooth around the outside. It's symmetrical. It's a nice slow curve down into the pot. These little valleys right here help the liquid decide to go out the spout, and these little arrows that they're pointed in will keep the liquids from spilling over this point, and the liquid will fall out this point. And then from the side, you want the end of the spout to be almost level with the ground, not pointing down, not pointing up. Mine's about level. It just ends like that. 2.5 pound large batter.